Well, guys, got them clean. Yeah, it's one of those things. I started cleaning them when I had gotten out here at first. I had gotten up somewhere around 1:30 today in the afternoon. It was a semi-rough week and a real rough Saturday. I ended up at the range actually a lot later than I expected. It just one thing after another. Shotgun class, pistol class, but anyway, had to clean the shotguns today. Now this is the one that I had bought some time back last year, just before the band started going in, so this was just before that. The story on this 410 was, I was talking with a friend of mine, which is also a private investigator, and he had called me asking me about a Benelli, because he was sitting up at Hoffman's thinking about buying a Benelli. And I do have a Benelli. I have the Nova. It's not one of the higher ends, but it's a Benelli. It's a decent gun. I wish it was the Supernova so I can change the stock, but it's not. But you know what? It works. That's all that counts. It doesn't cost me anything to keep it there. It doesn't eat, so it's there for me. It's dependable. But anyway, and I had told him I had one. And I never used it, which I hadn't, And he said, "Oh, do you want to sell it?" I said, "Well, yeah, I never really thought about it, but yeah, okay, I'll sell it." So he started asking me questions about it, and I started to answer him. Well, in the interim of me answering him on these questions, I decided not to sell it. So I told him, "You know what? I don't want to sell it. Forget about it." And then he got a little upset because he thought I was pissed off, but it wasn't that at all. It's just that it was one of those things to where, after talking with him more about it, I decided that, you know what, it's a good gun. I'm not going to be able to find it again for a while, if anything. And why get rid of something if I may want to buy it back or buy another one? It doesn't eat. Keep it. And this all happened within seconds. And so I abruptly came up and said, "You know what, never mind, I don't want to sell it." I guess it sounded kind of crude, but at that point he understood. He's a friend and he knows. But I did tell him, I said, for his wife, because he wanted it for home defense and a lot for his wife, and his wife is a little thing, as his daughter is. And Chuck at that point, he's a big guy, so he can handle the 12 gauge without a problem. But it's more for his wife and things. So I says to him, I said, "Chuck," I says, "I'm going to buy a 410 to keep in the house for my wife and even for myself, only because my shoulders are beat. After 40 years of shooting, and I don't care how good your form is, when you start doing a lot of shooting and you do a lot of shotgun, your shoulders eventually are going to start to act up." And that's what I've got. I've got arthritis in the shoulder. I've got a bad back. I can shoot a 12 gauge. I can run it if I have to. I'm going to feel it later, but why should I do it? You follow me? So I said, "I'm looking for a 410. I said, "I'm looking for the Mossberg with the little riot, with the little riot look, the tactical look." He goes, "Well, Jesus, I'm up here at Hoffman's now, and they've got two of them." I says, "Oh, they do?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "Well, I'm on my way." I says, "I'll be there in a few. It takes me about a half an hour to get to Hoffman's." So he was apparently, when I got there, he had left. He told me he had to leave, but he did give it to the salesperson. And when I got up there, the salesperson was telling me that he was walking around with both of them in his hand, for a good part of the time, because he was waiting for me to get there. And apparently he just couldn't hang there any longer, so he bought his, which is the same one. And he made them insure him that they were going to hold this for me until I got there. And that's what the salesperson said. He says, he sat here and he held on to these things like nobody was going to get him except for you and him. And he really didn't want to leave it, but he had to get out of here. So he made me promise him that I wouldn't sell it. So, so thanks for him for being so pushy, if that's the word, and making them hold this for me. So I bought this, which is a nice gun. I'm happy with it. Had to take the plug out of it. It was a little tight the first couple rounds, but after a little bit of abuse, and things. It worked out nice. Now I still have my 12 gauges, and I have this. Now I don't shoot skeet, trap. It's strictly for range, target or defense. So I says, you know what? I got to pick up a 20 gauge just for the hell of it. I'd like to look at some 28s, but I never see any ammo for them. That's one of these guns that are just fading away, like the 10. You just can't seem to find ammo anywhere. Now, I would never want a 10, but, at that point, the 28 would have been something I would have thought about. But if you can't find ammo for it, and you can't find any decent guns, don't even bother. So that's the way I left it. So I went into the 20. Now, I wasn't ready to buy it, but I was at a local gun shop over here that just opened up. Nice bunch of guys. I stopped in and out of there probably 4 or 5 times without buying anything, just to look around, see what they had, see what kind of guys they were and such. And they turned out to be a nice bunch of guys. And they're answering the questions, knowing I'm not going to buy anything at that point. They were still patient. And one day I said to them, I'm looking for a 20 gauge pump, something like a riot pump, or a tactical pump. He goes, well, we just got the Remington 870 20 gauge pump in, which is this one here. All right. I know you can't see it too well with the way I got it sitting here, but so it's a nice piece. So I looked at the sticker on it, and the price was reasonable. I could have picked it up a little bit cheaper. However, for a few bucks, I like to support, my local shops. This guy's right here in town. So, so if I had to save, $20 or $30, I'd stay here. It would have cost me that in gas to go someplace else. So, now if it was an extreme amount, it'd be a different story. But anyway, so I bought this, took it to the range. I'll tell you what, the Remingtons, they're a nice piece. I mean, they're just smooth. I like the Mossberg. You can't take anything away from them. But I was surprised with this Remington, how smooth it is. And I was really happy with it. So I bought the Remington. Now, when I bought the Remington, the same day I bought the Remington, I was talking to him about auto load, semi, whatever. And he did some checking around for me. And by the time I got home with the Remington, they had talked to me on the phone and told me that they found the Mossberg semi 20 gauge, which is this one here. So I asked them how much. They'd given me a price, and I said, order it. Now it took a week and a half to come in, which was my longest week and a half ever, because I usually only buy it if it's in front of me. As a rule, I don't like to order and have to wait for something. But, so far, let me see what happens. And again, their price, it was fair. It wasn't the best price, but it was a fair price, and it was worth me buying it, again, from them to support the locals. And they are a nice bunch of guys. And he also had joined the gun clubs that I'm a member of, so I also have to support him for that. So anyway, I bought this, and I took it to the range Thursday. Actually, I took them all to the range Thursday just to have some fun. And all I had on me was 40 rounds of target loads, so in the 20 gauge. So I did some playing with the 410, on a target and on a steel plate. I did some with the pump 20, and then when I loaded up the target rounds in this one, it wouldn't do anything. I chamber one, bang, nothing. It wouldn't eject it. It wouldn't rechamber. It wouldn't do anything. I mean, it was like running a single shot. You got to pull it back, load one manually, drop it, and shoot it, because it just wasn't happening. I said, oh shit, what a piece of shit this is going to be. Am I going to have one of those headache guns? Does it need to be broken or whatever? So the more I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm looking at the loads, and I'm saying, wait a minute, these are target loads. They're not high brass. You know, they haven't got much going for them. So you know what? Before I go nuts, let me go down to the shop and buy some high brass. So I went back to the gun shop on a Friday after coffee, and I only got my gloves on because I just cleaned them, and I don't want to get my fingerprints all over them. So because you know they were just oiled down. But anyway, I told them I was having a problem with it, and I thought it was probably because I wasn't running high brass. You know, I was just running you know, standard you know, light target loads. And I know that your semis are kind of touchy when it comes to that. Even your Benellis and such. So I decided that maybe I should buy some high brass. So I had asked them what they had in stock in high brass, something that they thought may work. And I bought a box off them, box of 20. And then Saturday I had the class I had to do with the shotguns. So I said, you know what? First of all, I use these, and I use the Ithaca when I do shotgun classes. It used to be the Ithaca only, and then I decided again I needed this because sometimes you just can't teach a small-framed person shotgun if they're not bringing their own something with a 12 gauge. So that was another reason why I wanted this one. But anyway, after we were done, I loaded this one up with some high brass, and I'll tell you what, I've got a new sweetheart. Yeah, this thing is sweet. I'm telling you, I fell in love with it. It cycled perfectly. It fired. The kick, the recoil on it was like a piece of cake. I can shoot this all day and enjoy it, have fun with it, and not have to worry about my shoulder. So in my opinion, if anybody has any questions on a Mossberg 20, now this isn't made here in the States, but it carries the Mossberg name. But at that point, if anybody was to order one of these things, I'd say, you know what? You're going to be happy with it, but remember that you're going to have to fire some high brass with it. You just can't use, you know, light loads, target loads with it at all. And when it comes to the Remington, I haven't really shot a Remington in a while. I've been staying away from shotgun quite a bit, again, because of my shoulder. But when it comes to the Remington, the action on this, it's great. It is. It really is great. You know, I should have gotten one of these a lot sooner than I did. But at that point, I'm happy with it. I got it now. And these are going to be not so much the 410, but these 220s are going to be one of the two that I take to the range with me, even when I go with the pistols, because it's just one of those things to where they're fun to shoot, and I enjoy them. So, and then I got some of this bottled up because this is going out to some of those guys that I have your addresses. So be patient. I got it bottled. I just got to put the labels on them and get them out. The only reason why it took so long was I had to fulfill some orders prior. So these are going to be going out this week. So thanks for your patience, and when you get it, you know, feel free to say whatever you want to say, if anything. All right? Enjoy, guys.